Good evening, ma'am, Madhu ma'am, our guest of honor. Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Good evening to Manish sir, and good evening to one and all present here. My name is Madhu Tripathi, and I have completed my BA honors in political science from Shahid Bhagat Singh College, and then I completed my masters in political science from University of Delhi. Later on, I did 1 year postgraduate diploma in conflict transformation and peace building from Lady Shri Ram College for Women, University of Delhi. And then I started working as a research assistant in JNU, and currently I'm working over there. Before starting my talk on my topic, I would firstly begin by thanking to GSTS for providing me this platform. I would thank to Manish sir for opening this platform for scholars like us, for young graduates who can come forward and share their views, and just not to enhance their knowledge. It's not just enhancing knowledge, but also enhancing communication skills and also making the PPT and all these process. Thank you, sir, for guiding me to and also accepting my talk on this topic. Now, my topic, I would just share my PPT. Yes. Is it visible?
Yes, Madhu, it is visible. You may go ahead.
All right, thank you. So, my topic of the talk is From Home to Hustle, Understanding Internal Migration Process, Shaping Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So I have divided five objectives to talk about this topic. To begin with the first objective, to explore the key drivers of internal migration in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Second would be to analyze the pattern and trends of migration. To analyze this objective, I have used few data which I have taken from the government website itself. Third objective is to climate-induced migration. क्लाइमेट से रिलेटेड, फॉर एग्जांपल साइक्लोन से जो माइग्रेशन होते हैं या क्लाइमेट से रिलेटेड जो माइग्रेशन प्रॉब्लम होती है, इस उसके बारे में मैंने इस ऑब्जेक्टिव में डिस्कस किया हुआ है. एंड ऑल्सो माइनर बेनर कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ सन ऑफ सॉइल, so I have discussed about that as well in objective 3. My fourth objective is to understand the challenges which are faced by the migrants, and last would be to suggest strategies for improving the condition of internal migrants. To begin with the first objective, it's about understanding the internal migration and what are the key drivers into it. So I have discussed. Firstly, I have talked about what is internal migration. Internal migration is some Yes, internal migration refers to migration from one place to another within a country. Internal migrants flows can be classified which are based on origin and destination region. जिस जगह से आ रहे हैं और जिस जगह पे जा रहे हैं, तो इंटरनल माइग्रेशन के भी बहुत सब पार्ट्स हैं. तो पहला जैसे पार्ट है रूरल टू अर्बन माइग्रेशन. देन देयर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इंट्रा स्टेट, स्टेट के विद इन में जो माइग्रेशन होता है. डिस्ट्रिक्ट माइग्रेशन, एक जिले से दूसरी जगह पे जहां आप जा रहे हैं वो माइग्रेशन. तो उसके इंटरनल माइग्रेशन में मैंने इन सब के बारे में बात किया हुआ है. To begin with migration, I would trace about the historical background from where it all started. So as we know, पहले जो during the British colonial time, हमारा एक कॉन्सेप्ट था गिरमिटिया मजदूर का. वहां पे हाउ द पीपल फ्रॉम इंडिया, स्पेशली from the especially state like UP and Bihar, how people started. It was voluntary to some extent, but it was mostly forcefully migration hua to regions like Fiji, Mauritius, Guyana, and Suriname as a Girmitia Mazdoor. So people started working over there. And if I'll see I was reading this about this topic, so it is still happening. For example, there was an article with respect to how the लेबरर्स हाउ द लेबर फ्रॉम लखनऊ, फॉर एग्जांपल माय रीजन, कैसे लखनऊ में बहुत लेबर्स हैं जो अभी भी इजराइल जा रहे हैं. तो अभी भी ये कॉन्सेप्ट है फॉर वेरियस फैक्टर्स, फॉर एग्जांपल वेजेस, फॉर बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटीज. सो अभी भी ये माइग्रेशन हो रहा है विद इन द इंडिया. देयर इज आफ्टरमाथ ऑफ ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन ड्यूरिंग 1960s. ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन के टाइम हाउ पीपल रीलोकेटेड टू पंजाब, टू हरियाणा रीजन, during green revolution time, and it is something which is nowadays even happening. For example, one of my friend, I was asking ki, is from the Bihar region only. I was asking, is it still happening? So he was saying yes. He was citing the example कि कैसे उनके जो दूध वाले भैया हैं, वंस ही दूध वाले भैया जो दूध लाते थे उनके वहां, सो उनका बेटा आने लगा, तो ही आस्क्ड कि वेयर इज योर फादर? सो ही सेड कि अभी वो पंजाब गए हुए हैं। तो ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन का इट्स नॉट जस्ट दैट, इट्स स्टिल हैपनिंग इन दैट रीजन्स। अभी भी पीपल जो बिहार के हैं और यूपी के हैं, ये लोग अभी भी इस रीजन में जा रहे हैं। तो इस देयर आर मेनी फैक्टर्स व्हाई पीपल माइग्रेटिंग टू पंजाब हरियाणा। First which I found was with respect to, yes, mechanization of agriculture. एग्रीकल्चर को मैकेनाइजेशन एक व्यवस्था है पंजाब हरियाणा में, वहां पे अभी भी यूपी एंड बिहार में वो मशीन्स नहीं है जो इवन विमेंस के लिए, फेमिनाइजेशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर, वीमेंस के लिए वो मशीन नहीं है जो उससे अपना घर का खर्चा पानी चला पाए अपने रीजन में। दे हैव टू माइग्रेट। सो अभी भी अपॉर्चुनिटीज की देयर आर लैक ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन देयर ओरिजिन रीजन, एंड दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम। पीपल हैव माइग्रेटेड टू रीजन्स लाइक पंजाब एंड हरियाणा, and it is something which is still happening. Now, to explore the next objective, to explore the key drivers of internal migration in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So there are many push factors. For example, lack of job opportunities in region, low wages, poor financial condition, debt on the family, social insecurity, and social discrimination. There are pull factors. For example, better employment opportunities in regions like Delhi, in regions like UP, Bangalore. People migrate to raise their living standard, personal development, and attractive environment. For example, if you in the next slide, we will see climate से related migration. तो environment से related migration होता है. For example, there is a talk about कि अभी winter आ रहा है दिल्ली में, migration people will start locating to regions like Shimla, to Uttarakhand. तो my environment से भी related migration. This is the graph which I took from Migrants of India static report, which talks about how 53% of the migration which happens due to push factors. Both push and pull factor, it's around 35%. And if you see only push factor, it's 8%, and only pull factor to 4%. So there's a catchy point here that sometimes we say that there's good opportunities, that's why people are migrating to this reason. But if you see the data, it's around 4% only push factor. So push factor, it's around only pull factor the 4%. So push factor का जो ratio है अभी भी बहुत ज्यादा है. तो from this pie chart, what I am understanding is कि push factor की पे एक्शन लेना चाहिए. पुश फैक्टर से रिलेटेड अगर उस पे इनिशिएटिव्स कुछ लिए जाएं, उस पे कुछ पॉजिटिव एफर्ट्स लिए जाएं, तो दिस कैन बी रिड्यूस्ड. So it's not कि pull factor की better opportunity या environment से, push factor plays a major role. So is initiative should be taken from the origin reasons. For example, UP and Bihar should take the actions. So study, and with respect to the women migration, I have added into next slide as well. With respect to the women, it's around marital status, family type, and religion of migrants also plays length of their stay, where they used to, where they are going, and how much, how many days, how many times they are expending over there. World Bank की report, I was reading World Bank report about the migration. So it's talk about how the beneficial impact on the growth of sending and receiving. So World Bank की जो report में उन्होंने बताया कि it was related to the West Asia and other regions. So but उसमें जो मैंने बहुत अच्छी चीज देखी, उन्होंने बोला कि जो sending and receiving regions हैं, उनको it because what migration is a process. It's not something problem. So we have government policy maker and citizens have to take a positive efforts. It's not something that is problematic, it's something which is the process. So both the reason should come forward, both the reason origin as well as destination reason should take action, positive effort, because migration ka I have added into the slides कि बहुत positive impact है with respect to the economy of that region, with respect to the food assimilation, cultural assimilation का. So migration has a very well positive role to play into the region. And then to analyze the pattern. So this is next objective, to analyze the pattern and trends of migration. So I have taken this report, Migration in India report, which was released by Ministry of Static and Program Implementation. It says that 84%, 84% of point 0.7 temporary visitor. So it came during the times of COVID. So temporary visitor 0.7%. And 84 of these, they moved place due to the pandemic reason. If you see all India migration rates, it it is around 29% for July 2020 and 2021. 26.5% migration rate in rural areas and around 35 urban areas में. तो rural areas में migration का rate 26.5% और urban areas में it's around 35%. If you see the report, female records a higher share of migration rates. It's around 48%. So 48, urban and rural में mostly same है, around 48%. Migration rate for males, it's around 11% with 5.9 in rural area and 2.5 in urban areas. And female migration for marriage, it's around 87%. For males migration, it's around 40, around 50% only for employment. So this is the pattern and trend of the migration, and it's the same. It's still continuing the same pattern. This since it I've taken this slide from census 2011. So it shows interstate migration. If you see the graph, net out migration means where people migrate out of the state. For example, Bihar में, so it's around 63, and in UP it's around 83. If you see the reason for interstate migration, male for work, it's around 50%, for move with a family 28%. But if you compare with the female, it's around 5% with respect to the work. And if you see with respect to the female about marriage, it's around 54%. So I have added this slide with respect to understanding the trends of the internal migration. Now, this is the this book of Myron Binner, wherein he talked about the ethnic conflict, how the migration and ethnic conflicts are related. Since I did my PG diploma, so conflict, so I had a chapter with respect to the migration and conflict. So I had read this book that time. So Myron Binner had very well talked about son of the soil concept as well. See how the states, how the migration, how the states deal with the son of soil concept, and how migration used to relate to the ethnic conflict. So it focus on intercultural and interstate migration throughout the nation rather than on merely local and provincial phenomena. So in his book, he talked about whole part of the India, but he has the case study with respect to the UP and Bihar. So he talked about both the social and political consequences of India's inter-ethnic migration, how the migration leads to political and social consequences. So in this book, he added about this. Now, coming to the migration, one part, climate-induced migration, which I talked in the beginning itself, how climate change force people to move. So, for example, if there is a cyclone in the Bengal region, so people would displace from one region to another. So, climate-induced migration is one of the debating topic nowadays, which is emerging. So climate change focus move people due to fields unfit for the cultivation, for example, rising sea level, increasing salinity into any region or for the which leads to unfit for the cultivation, and also temporarily searching for the work. For example, there is any cyclone, so people used to migrate for temporarily searching for the work. Climate-induced migration not taken seriously enough. This is cited into the internal displacement monitoring center report, which says that there are currently about 14 million people who have been displaced due to the climate change. So I wanted to talk about the climate-induced migration as well. If you see the migration static of Uttar Pradesh, it is of Census of India 2011 itself, wherein it says that number of interstate migrants जो है यूपी का वो 12.32 million है, largest among Indian state. If you see number of internal migrants within, it is of within UP, so it's around 52 million. Intra district within district migration जो यूपी में it's around 67%, and inter district one district to another it's around 33%. So I just wanted to add UP with respect to the migration. Now coming to the challenging parts, it would be fourth objective, to understand the challenge what the faced by the migrants. So there are many challenges with respect to the migration. First would be human rights related issues. how if people migrating from one region to another, what type of human related issues they face. Cultural challenge is one of the factor. For example, if someone coming from UP or Bihar to say to region like Punjab, so I was having a discussion with one of my friends, so he was saying that yes, I asked him, "Ki, do you listen your region song?" So he's like, yes, but now I'm like more to Punjabi songs, to the songs which are there in Delhi, to the songs like Punjabi. So I'm not that much. So cultural challenges is also happening due to the migration problems, culture challenges. So there is need to focus upon the cultural assimilation, which should be the way forward. Also, if person like which comes from marginalized section, and if he's coming from other reasons to settle into any other reason, so it's like they have the problem of mixing up into that society. So it is also one of the challenge with respect to the psychology. So I was reading about the article with respect to the health का क्या issue होता है migration पे. So migration plays a very important, very crucial role into the mental health as well. If somebody is migrating, it has a psychological negative impact as well sometimes. Social negative impact. And also with respect to the political and social benefit. I have added that into the way forward what social and benefit initiatives should be taken, but there is a problem with respect to the political right. For example, right to vote. Right to vote. So if there is an election, there a person has to move to that region to give the vote. So there has to be something like online system, so that person into that region only can vote for their own constituency. So these steps needs to be taken. Uh, Aadhaar, ID Aadhaar. Government has taken many steps which I have added into the steps taken by the government. For example, one nation and one ration card. So these are the few challenges with respect to the migration, social, psychological, political, cultural, and human related issues. Women and migration, what we saw into the previous slide, how the marriage plays major role into the women migration. So that is the same. If you see the graph, marriage का proportion बहुत ज़्यादा है. If you see job, then studies, and then family reasons. So this is a source of Indian Human Development Survey, whereas migration and female migration important field of research with respect to the migration with respect to the women. So this. And now coming to the part of COVID-19. COVID-19 and how the COVID-19 plays has a large question mark with respect to the migration problems. How the government and all policymaker has a lots of hue and cry with respect to how to deal with the migration. So कोविड हैज गिवन द एग्जांपल कि एक पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए प्रॉपर एक इनिशिएटिव्स होने चाहिए पॉलिसी मेकर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से बिकॉज देयर इज दैट picture itself shows that there are large number of people who are living into other region, and government and also citizens should come forward to providing them a proper temporary hostel settlement. For example, there is a case study of Kerala. They have a system of temporary hostel for migrants. If somebody is moving from regions from UP and Bihar, and if somebody is going for the Kerala, so they don't have to just hustle and live on the road. Rather, they have a provision. They have a solution for them that they have created a temporary hostel. कि आप वहाँ पे जाके कुछ दिन के लिए रहें और उसके बाद आप अपनी अपने अपने काम को ढूंढें. उसके बाद if you get something to live, you have to just leave that place. And that's जो temporary hostel का जो concept है उसमें ऐसा नहीं है free of cost. You have to pay a bare minimum amount कि आप वहाँ पे खाने पीने की आपको रहने की. तो these things can be implemented into other regions like Delhi, to other regions like Pune and Bengaluru. So that should be replicated into the other regions as well. Yes, there are positives of internal migration. For example, circular migration. It's a repeat migration. People repeat migrants coming. They'll come and they'll go. So it's a like circular migration, जहाँ पे which says that at least 10% of India's GDP. So they contribute to the GDP growth of GDP growth. So circular migration is there. That's the positive of internal migration. Social remittances which we get from the internal migration. And yes, internal migration helps in SDG goal 8, which talked about promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. economic growth, internal migration plays a major role into the economic growth and to the GDP of the state. Social, it has a positive social impact with respect to the cultural assimilation, with respect to the food, with respect to the with respect to, yes, dress and clothing. So migration has a huge role to play. Innovation, yes, migrants brings lots of innovation. For example, uh, traditional, for example, in indigenous skills which they bring in labor market flexibility. So these are the positives of internal migration. So there are many steps which has been already taken by the government with respect to the internal migration. For example, seasonal hostel, which I talked about, that Kerala state has taken with respect to the education of the my children's. Right to education has been implemented into almost all these schools of all these states. With respect to the one nation one ration card, which government Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution took. So it is one of the very important initiative his government took with respect to providing a food security to the migrants. So it's like if you're living in Delhi and you feel having the one nation one that ration card, you can get the access, you can get the food and rice and oil from that region. So from the fair price shop, from the PDS system. E-Shram portal launched to enhance migrant status, better access to benefits. So these are the following initiatives which government has taken. And yes, there are other way forward. For example, in the constitution, migration comes into the concurrent list. So it's like both the state and center has a role to play. So there has to be something balancing where it's like some center and state should come forward, cake solution or something like seasonal hostel, which Kerala has implemented. States like Delhi and Pune and Bengaluru should come forward. So yes, these are the way forward which I wanted to put forward. These are the references. And yes, the government source which I took, Migration India report, PLFS report. And there's one quote of William L. Swing which says that we cannot and should not stop people from migration. We have to give them a better life at home. Migration is a process and not a problem. So we need to look forward to it. So thank you. Thank you all.
Um, Thank you so much, Madhu, for that well articulated and well presented talk. And I'm very much sure कि जितने हमारे speakers, upcoming speakers, and also the listeners who are here with us today, वो सभी काफी ज़्यादा उन्होंने insights ली होंगी for a very important topic, which is on internal migration. So, moving further, we would now address a few questions that have been posted in the chat box. तो हम चाहेंगे कि आप उन क्वेश्चंस का आंसर दें, आपकी रिसर्च ओरिएंटेड जो भी आपने अभी तक स्टडीज की हैं उनके बेसिस पे आपकी क्या फाइंडिंग्स है, आपका क्या कहना है. सो वी वुड लाइक टू हियर योर व्यूज ऑन द सेम. सो द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज how does migration from rural areas affect education and healthcare access for the families left behind?
So migration from the rural areas, for example, if somebody is migrating from UP के एजुकेशन का क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा. तो एजुकेशन का इन द सेंस कि फॉर एग्जांपल इज लुकिंग फॉर वन पॉडकास्ट इटसेल्फ वेयर that was talking about कि people shift. It's not like कि वो पहले जो male person है, that person will come and then after their family will start coming. And then वहाँ पे if that lady was saying कि no, we are not, I am not happy यहाँ पे रह के, but क्या करें, हम बच्चों की पढ़ाई के लिए हम यहाँ पे आ गए. तो मोस्टली इट इज लाइक ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस. समटाइम्स इट्स मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दैट इज कि जो वहाँ पे उनके फैमिली है मेंबर्स हैं वो शिफ्ट हो जाते हैं बिकॉज दे स्टार्ट अर्निंग समथिंग एंड दे स्टार्ट देन बिकॉज एजुकेशन इज समथिंग विच मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल इट्स लाइक एजुकेशन के लिए लोग शिफ्ट हो जाते हैं. इट्स समथिंग विच आई थिंक.
All right, Ms. Madhu, well answered. We'll take one next question, which asks me, how effective have initiatives like the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or Manrega has been, how effective these initiatives have been in curbing migration? So what are your views on it?
सर आई थिंक माइग्रेशन जो मनरेगा का स्कीम है जिसमें पहले इट्स लाइक कि daily rupees was 100, now it's been increased to 150. So it is helping to the some extent migration से related बट अगर जो मैंने फैक्टर्स बताए कि बेटर स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग के लिए, बेटर इन्वायरमेंट के लिए, बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटी के लिए, तो पीपल आर माइग्रेटिंग. मनरेगा इज प्लेइंग वेरी गुड रोल. मनरेगा इज लाइक कि एक दिन में, फॉर एग्जाम्पल फॉर द विमेन, मनरेगा इज वन ऑफ द गुड इनिशिएटिव कि अगर उनको कुछ नहीं तो एक 100 150 रुपए रोज का मिल रहा है उनको वर्क करके. बट yes, for the longer future and longer perspective, it is not something, it should be increased. I guess it's not something viable in times like इस तरह से inflation हो रहा है and all thing, so it should be increased. But for, it's like not that much impacting, but yes, something is better than nothing, I would say, with respect to the Manrega, because it should be definitely be increased. It's not like 150 रुपए per day is not viable. चाहे आप रूरल एरिया में रहें, चाहे आप अर्बन एरिया में रहें, महंगाई सब जगह है.
True, very well answered, Miss Madhu. We have one next question by Akriti ma'am. She has two questions. So मैं आपसे in part वो question पूछूंगी. So the first part of the question is कि जो social structure है in UP and Bihar, so how caste and distribution of land played an important role in migration in those states के perspective में.
Yes, with respect to the land. So even I was having a discussion with friends. So he was saying कि अभी हम लोग के यहाँ जैसे एग्जाम्पल बिहार में primitive agriculture is very challenging to do. Why it is? Because किसी के पास जैसे जमीन है तो कुछ एकड़ यहाँ है, कुछ एकड़ यहाँ है, कुछ एकड़ यहाँ है, तो गवर्नमेंट शुड कम कि लैंड का एक रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो, समथिंग जिसमें एक इंसान को एक ही जगह पे एक प्लॉट दे दो. It's not like कि bifurcation, so that that person can use मशीन एटलीस्ट, कि इट्स नॉट लाइक कि मशीन का यूज हो जाए. फॉर एग्जांपल हरियाणा में क्यों प्रोग्रेस, क्योंकि मशीन का उनके पास बहुत अच्छी व्यवस्था है. तो लैंड का एक तरह से रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन समथिंग होना चाहिए. इट शुड नॉट बी बाइफर्केटेड लैंड. So land will, I think land ka reorganization something can bring us something for with respect to the agriculture perspective.
All right. So the next related question is, it is related to the core and periphery people, like people who are underdeveloped and people who are at the periphery of the society. So what are your views? Because these people are migrating or they are forced to migrate to the core or the developed centers to provide them resources like cheap labor and etc. So what are your views on it? So underdeveloped people जो migrate करते हैं developed centers में for resources like cheap labor, so just asking for your views. It's like elaborate, can you please elaborate your outlook on it?
चीप लेबर नहीं, बट जो पीपल माइग्रेट करते हैं बेसिकली वहां पे वेजेस अच्छे होते हैं, वहां पे सैलरी अच्छी होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल आई कोटेड अबाउट द इजराइल का, कि जैसे लखनऊ रीजन, फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे रीजन से लेबर जो बिल्डिंग वगैरह बनाते हैं वो कहते हैं नहीं हम लोग, आप हम लोग का एक दिन का भाड़ा जो हम लोग का 1500 रुपए, हमको इजराइल में या फिर उस जगह पे जाके हमें 3000 मिल रहा है, 4000 मिल रहा है. तो सैलरी बेस प्लेस मेजर रोल, तो इसलिए पीपल माइग्रेट करते. बेस कैन बी इंक्रीज. अब बेस इंक्रीज होगा तो पीपल फ्रॉम दैट रीजन विल स्टार्ट ऑब्जेक्टिंग कि इतना पैसा कैसे. सो दे आर दी, फॉर एग्जांपल पंजाब एंड हरियाणा, दे आर giving the wages, high wages salary for the agriculture person. So that's why people are migrating with respect to the.
All right, we will have one last question by Mr. Anupamanan. The questions are again related. So the first part of the question is there a study showing migration to population growth rates in the states? And number two, literacy and migration figure correlation. So do I need to repeat the first part again, or do I need to break down the question in two parts for you?
No, I can see that from the chat box.
All right. So that's the question that we would like to hear the answer. We would like to hear from you.
Yes, with respect to the literacy and migration, I think yes, it plays, because migration का जो लिटरेसी से, फॉर एग्जांपल एजुकेशन के लिए अब हम ही है, आई एम फ्रॉम द लखनऊ एंड आई शिफ्टेड टू दिल्ली because I got opportunity to enroll into the DU. So migration, हम लोग का भी migration, it's not something with respect to the migrants only. So literacy and migration plays. Yes, आपको awareness है कि हाँ इस region पे ये व्यवस्था है, तभी आप माइग्रेट हो गए. अदरवाइज यू विल बी लाइक कि हाँ हमें मनरेगा से 100 150 रुपए मिल रहा है, हमारा जीवन यापन हो रहा है, तो आई विल बी हियर. बट इफ यूल सी द न्यूज, इफ यू सी द न्यूज़पेपर वगैरह देखोगे कि हाँ जो लोग वहां पे, एंड ऑल्सो जो लोग जैसे पंजाब या हरियाणा में जा रहे हैं तो उनको ग्रोथ हो रहा है, या दुबई में बहुत लोग, फ्रॉम माई रीजन मेनी पीपल शिफ्टेड टू दुबई रीजन, सो पीपल स्टार्टेड लुकिंग, देखो वो वहां पे गए थे और नाउ दे आर हैविंग अ पक्का हाउस एंड ऑल दीज. सो लिटरेसी एंड ऑल्सो अवेयरनेस, सोशल अवेयरनेस, आसपास के पड़ोस का, दीज थिंग्स इम्पैक्ट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द माइग्रेशन, आई गेस.
All right, Ms. Madhu, you have very confidently answered all the questions that were posted by the speakers. And we would again like to apologize because we cannot really take all the questions because of the paucity of time. And we also have our, guest of honor for her insights and suggestions. So thank you all for the overwhelming response in terms of the questions. But sincere apologies because the time constraint would not really allow us to access all the questions, but if it will be possible for Miss Madhu, she would take them up personally or in the chat box, just if she wishes to. So moving further, now it's time to again invite our guest of honor again. So I would like to invite Dr. Madhu.
Samriddhi, you left one question.
Yes, I was about to come to that. So before inviting our guest of honor, Dr. Madhu, I would like to ask one last question that we ask to all of our speakers. So what has your experience been like in GSTS? So what's like, tell us about your journey for the upcoming speakers who are, who might be present in today's session as well. So yeah.
I have a lot to say about the GSTS because to begin with, thank you, sir, for opening what I said into the beginning. Thank you for opening this platform for young graduate, for scholars, so that we can come with any question, we can come with any open-minded topic and have a talk. What sir said into the beginning, Madhu, this is a talk. It's not a something discussion of PPT. So I thank you for that, sir, for providing this platform. Second would be, it's about when I'll join. Everybody will come with different topic. So it's like कि यहाँ से भी हम लोग को एक टॉपिक तैयार हो रहा है कि अच्छा ये टॉपिक पे चलो आज सुन लिया, and everybody has a process of learning, relearning and unlearning from this platform. Third, I would thank you to the coordinator, Manvi and Ajay, for being so kind and supportive. So thank you, sir, for providing this platform, for opening this platform, and I would wish very good luck to through this platform.
Thank you so much, Ms. Madhu, and it was indeed a pleasure for us as well to have you on our platform. And we would be eagerly waiting for your upcoming talks in the upcoming sessions, and we would like you to stay connected to the platform. So thank you so much for that amazing talk. And now moving forward, I would now like to invite our honorable guest of honor for today, Dr. Madhu, to please come up with her suggestions, insights, and comments related to today's talk and also for the platform. So, ma'am, the stage is yours now.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here, and Madhu's presentation was very nice, and she tried to bring out the migratory patterns, the problems, and solutions also. That what could be the probable solutions, the initiative by the government. So basically, when we look at migration, we say that migration actually contributes to the economic growth by filling labor gaps. It boosts productivity and increase consumer spending as well. It also brings remittances back home, meaning it brings money to the rural household. When you have migratory people in urban areas, they are contributing significantly to the household income in rural areas. So it is not that the consumer spending increases only in urban area where the migration is happening. It is also increasing in areas where you are having the remittances directed towards. Okay. So the other thing is that what she basically talked about was the migratory patterns, and the patterns basically reflect what they used. I mean, we know how migration happens, and there are pull and push factors, and we have seen that mostly it is happening still because of the factors related to poverty and people wanting to make big and better their livelihoods. So it is still going on, and the census reports or the 2011 whatever reports that we are still hanging on to, they also tend to reflect the same kind of pattern, and there is not much of difference. What I would like to, however, suggest, Madhu, is that when you look at data of any kind, so there is a input data which is there, But I think the job of the historian is to not present the data as it is. I think we have to look behind the scene, or maybe bring out some kind of an analysis of this data so that it makes a point. So I think when you are using a lot of data, I think you have to bring out all those points in a very emphatic and important manner, so that this, the impact of this presentation is more. That is one, I think, suggestion I would like to give. The other thing is that when you talk about the distribution of benefit, economic growth, access across the economic classes, informalization of this labor market that is there, then there are different kind of scenarios attached to this pattern of migration. She has also, Madhu has also talked about the changes, the psychological changes, and I think when she was talking about the challenges to the migration and what migrants face, she talked about social, psychological, and of course the discrimination and exclusion part. So I think I'm giving you just a hint so that you can further probe this point, that often this kind of study, I don't think much study has been done on this part, that migrants, though they experience a sense of pride, when they contribute and they have the ability to support their families financially. However, this pride is short-lived, in the sense that there is some kind of shame and stigma which is associated with the kind of low status jobs that they do in the city, and they see themselves in the hierarchy of this order of work. So there is a duality in this process, where on one hand they are feeling pride that they are able to provide for their households. On the other hand, they themselves are kind of there's a web which is pulling them back into the shame and guilt and stigma which is associated with whatever kind of work they're doing. Primarily, this could be because of the understanding of work that we have towards things that do as work, associated with we have anyway hierarchies of work, what is a white collar job and unskilled skilled type of work. So what my suggestion is that when you talk about the shame and stigma associated with it, try and probe the duality, whether this kind of what kind of identity is then being shaped of this, and how do they perceive their own migration in this duality. You should be able to probe. This will enhance your research, this particular aspect. I think you have taken all the kind of initiatives, what the government initiatives are there for the draft national migrant labor policy, one nation, one ration card, affordable housing, e-shram portal. All of this is, all government initiatives are there. But like I think somebody pointed out as well, that the effectiveness of these initiatives is to be gauged and monitored through some sort of a ground survey. I think that would be a good idea, to understand that how effective these schemes are, so that we are able to actually project that how actually they are helping in the migratory patterns or not, whether they are helping the migrants in a way or not. I think the one thing which I think can provide some kind of relief, when we look at the sustainable cities. I think the magnet cities like Mumbai and Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, they have become those larger than life magnet cities, and they kind of attract people. So if we are able to offer sustainable, livable cities closer to the areas of those states where you have those migrations coming in, I think we will see a shift. It will also redistribute the migration in a certain way, which will also lift a lot of burden on these cities, like the waste burden, how the housing is done, why the healthcare is lost. And of course, you have better access to education, healthcare, when you have a more sustainable city. With big mega cities, they come with their own problems. They may offer you a better wage, but I think the cost of living is higher, and you feel alienated. So if you have those cities which are closer to your states, which are also developing, in a major way, in more sustainable fashion, I think there will be a shift in those patterns of migration in times to come. This is what I think This is what I think, are some of the areas where you can look at. And overall, I think you have touched upon all the aspects of the migratory patterns, the solutions, and the problems and the solutions. So I think it was a good presentation, and I don't know how far I have done my job, but I think I have tried to provide some kind of analysis to whatever short time that I have had. And it was a good presentation. I liked it. Very well done.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights. I would add that into my research.
I also like to thank Samriddhi and the team who has been tirelessly, doing this effort and bringing this GSTS talks together. And special thanks to Manish for drawing me here and giving me this opportunity to come and talk to young researchers and also learn from them. There is a lot of research that one doesn't get to know because we are all tied in doing too much teaching. We don't have time. So I think I try and come more on the platform to look at the research, the kind of research younger generation is doing, and I think it's very promising work.